We're going to have to know how to tell the difference between performance and service. Who's performing and who's serving? We're going to have that discernment. We're going to have to be able to tell the difference. Do you know the difference when somebody's simply performing? Theatrics, the drama, sounds good, feels good, entertaining, lights sparkling, oh, so fascinating. But is there value being transferred? Does it have transformational effect? Does it have transformative opportunity? Does it lend and transfer empowerment? Why? We are trying to locate on the axis of Leo and Aquarius, which is the next nodal transit for us to evolve through in context of the timeline Aquarius-Pluto. Pluto is in Aquarius. So, does this transfer as innovative opportunity for us? A way forward, a vision to connect to, by which we know to pattern our Capricorn infrastructure upon? Does it show us a way outside of the rings of Saturn, rather than running in the same circles again, in the same program of Mars rather than Uranus? Are you catching on yet? There are plenty performers. Performance, performance, performance. And this is what we're going to learn when it comes to the South Node Leo. South Node Leo is going to exterminate these energies of performance. Performance that does nothing but serve the self, edifies the self, validates the self, fills the stomach of the self, fills the ego of the self, while leaving everyone else injured and they don't even know it. It's painless. It doesn't hurt when I'm so infatuated and drugged up with the morphine of infatuation. The pretty, the beautiful, the charismatic, the entertaining. Just perform for me and everything will be okay. Lie to me as long as you don't go against what I want to come true, what I want to be true, what I prefer to be the case for me, rather than the reality that's already explaining itself to me. I reject that, I resent that, I send it back. Oh, that has been the case all along. When are we gonna really be sincere and aligned with what is true, what is real? Do we want the real? Do we really want the real? South Node Leo is next. And we can see how the stage is being set to learn these lessons. Back when Black Moon Lilith was passing through Leo, what was happening? All the celebrities was just falling out the sky. Mountains were falling like carded wool. Those who you used to look as fixed stars that can never be removed came tumbling on down, one after the other. So what you think is going to be the case with South Node Leo? Have you learned? Have you learned yet? Or have you been insisting on being starstruck, spellbound, impressed and mesmerized by the lights and the glitter? Snap out of it. An interesting event, world event that took place to really give us a litmus test of how we're doing with this particular energy that I'm going to unpack, that took place on December 22nd, is that we were given the opportunity to witness for ourselves or against ourselves, and rather or not we learn certain things, rather or not we have come to understand certain things yet. And the first square is between Saturn and Venus, and then Neptune and Venus in transit. That is at this time period where this was initially recorded. Of course, what you're listening to right now is an edit after an event took place that coincided with this. And so the square with Saturn is, how am I doing with what I've learned concerning delusions, infiltration of my imagination? How am I doing with either trusting myself in what I believe or falling helplessly into the delusions of what I want to believe? Saturn gave us plenty of exercise, plenty of trials and tests, plenty of examination globally and personally, nationally, to see what we're doing with our imagination and whether or not we could still be infiltrated, used as useful idiots, played around with. And one particular, name I brought up for us all to test ourselves with, of course, was Erica Kirk. You all know. It's no need for me to get real deep about it. I'm going to be brief on this point because I think you could do well to examine yourself. As time went on, earlier in the year, the issue with Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk, a lot of people fell for it. A lot of you out there, okay? But you got to give yourself grace because Saturn wasn't done teaching you. Come full circle, Candace Owens appears to have exposed Erica Kirk. However, not soon after the exposure, there was a meeting between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, and she comes back out tap dancing and apologetic. Same way that Kanye did, same way that Irving did, same way that anybody that went up against the little hats or the white Christian nationalists who are in cahoots with the little hats. By now, you should know what the fuck is going on. I wouldn't even put it past if Candace Owens is on the same payroll as them after that meeting. I would not be surprised because controlled chaos is part of the game. Furthermore, Nicki Minaj adds a real examination to the situation. You lose followers through Candace. How do you replace the useful idiots? How do you replace the NPCs? We need NPCs. There's NPCs following every people. She lost NPCs with Candace Owens, so how do you replace the large following, the large numbers of NPCs for Turning Point? Well, Nicki Minaj has plenty of NPCs. Women who lust for women. Women who live vicariously through other women. Women who worship, praise, exalt. Nicki Minaj. Falling out and need their asthma pump. Gripping the ground, pulling up dirt and throwing it on top of their head, screaming, Nicki Minaj. The infallible. The goddess of all the green earth. She could say no wrong, she could do no wrong. Impossible. We will follow headlong, blindly, and ignorantly wherever she takes us. Take me by the forelock. It's enough for Nicki Minaj to have an appearance. And no matter what she says and does, it's not even questionable. She has enough NPCs behind her. And so the NPCs, or the Barbs as they call them, follow behind Nicki and her all-out hypocrisy, calling herself standing up for Christians, but in her ignorance, not knowing that don't no politicians give a damn about no Christians in Nigeria. There's no sentimental value in any of the announcements, speeches, motives, agendas, operations, or plans that they have that's proposed to the people. It's only the NPCs who will eat this up. It's only the NPCs who will believe at face value what these politicians is talking about. Christian persecution. Oh, we care about Christians, so we're going to run over there with a cape and we're going to save them because we love them so much. No, never has it happened in history. There has always been the underlying reason, intention, and purpose and motive on material gain, on power and leverage, on political opportunity, on strategic opportunity that involves all. However, the useful idiot who happens to have an army of NPCs behind her, and she happens to be pretty enough to escape the logical and intelligible power of the human being, where when they see somebody that's pretty, got hair weave that's longer than a fucking midget, and comes on stage talking like she fucking 14 years old. High fashion, perfect makeup, her BBLs and all these other things, and the brain turns off. Nobody's thinking anymore. They're infatuated. And it's starting to prove that women lust for women more than men do. Women get lost in women's looks more than men do. Women get confused when they look at a pretty face more than men do. The dumbness, the idiocy, the ignorance, the lack of intelligence, the lack of control and access to the power of one's consciousness and mind, it immediately detaches and disconnects the moment there is a celebrity status or a pretty face. The fucking head disconnects. And here comes the doom. And later on, you're crying, wondering, how did I become this slave? How did I become in this servitude? Why are we going through this in society? Why don't we have no rights? Why do they have so much power? Why does it go like this? Why does it go like that? Because every power that you have, every authority that you have, every moment and opportunity that you have to seize and preserve your own power and authority, you simply give it away because you cannot control your lust. You cannot control your lust for life. You cannot control your lust for woman. You cannot control your lust for images. You cannot control your lust for those things that entertain your eyes and your five senses. You have no control whatsoever over your lust. And it is not just man, it is mostly women. Lost and delusional. Erica Kirk and Nicki Minaj, two actors on the stage. And Erica Kirk starting to look more and more like Diddy. The day after you know what happened to Biggie, on stage dancing in a white suit. Ain't no different than what Erica Kirk is doing the minute her husband died, allegedly, supposedly. According to the script. The same mood afterwards. The same energy afterwards. The same acceleration of success afterwards. Swimming in money afterwards. Gaining followers and gaining clout afterwards. Making further connections and expanding afterwards. Oh, how business is sweet. Scrooge McDuck afterwards. Where is our common sense? Of all people, a woman who chose and insisted on marrying a registered sex offender, allegedly, Nicki Minaj, who it is well known that she is allegedly married to a PDF file, has been chosen as a spokeswoman for Christian people nationally. What a joke. Question on stage on what her advice is for young men, what her advice is for young women. While the hypocrisy is the fact that Erica Kirk's husband has been recorded in saying that he is of the opinion that Nicki Minaj is not an appropriate image and personality for 18-year-old black girls to imitate or model themselves after. He literally said that. Have you learned yet that your Venus is a Luciferic force and you must be the master over that force and it not over you? Have you learned yet that when you look at such characters, you are looking at the manifestation of Lucifer and all of her beauty? Lucifer in form of Nicki, Lucifer in form of Erica Kirk. She is showing you the truth of his full image, hiding behind a religion, white Christian nationalism that has brought a plague of oppression, genocide, and theft. The smearing of identities all over this entire earth, and then reforming it as if it was someone else who was guilty of it. Niggers and Muslims. But yet it was a quite opposite even since the Spanish Inquisition. How do you reason? Where is your intelligence? The world split into who accepted the lesson and who rejected the lesson. Who decided, I need the karma to teach me what this lesson was meant to mean. And I'm ready to move on past this lesson because I learned that lesson and I see the illusion. I see the trick and I'm not falling for it. I'm going over here and I'm minding my business. What side did you select? What side did you choose? Did you fall for it? Did you fall for it? The circus show that's running in the earth right now. Politicians, podcasters, the popular, the powerful, the rich, the wealthy. There is no truth among them. There is no truth with them. It's illusions. And if there is no truth with you, you will be right along with them, confused, caught up in a whirlwind. Come into the new world. Come into the higher world. Come into the new world. Come into the higher world. Search yourself and make sure that you learn these things, that you understand these things, because there is much more deception ahead. There's much more tricks ahead. There's much more magic and sorcery ahead. Can you see the magic yet? Have you learned? Let's walk down memory lane. December 21st, 22nd, okay? In hindsight, we get the perspective how we ended up where we at right now. Let's get clarification. Let's go, you heard? Let's go. You can get a glimpse of what's real, especially when it comes to love, which manifests from truth. And it can scare the shit out of you. The South Node Virgo is part of the square between Saturn and Venus. And that is, have we learned to let go of the ideal of perfection? The idea that everything is to be scrutinized to the point where you throw the baby out with the bathwater, missing every opportunity, every blessing. Articulate it well with your own technology, that it wasn't for you, it wasn't right, it wasn't good, this was wrong and that was wrong, when all the while we're justifying the avoidance of the inevitable accountability, responsibility, and duty that love requires. Are we exposed sometimes, and how fast we run? Well, South Node Virgo, you aren't perfect. The other person isn't perfect. And isn't that you simply don't trust yourself? What can we learn from this square? Well, let's examine and see what it's about. Is my opinion of myself so expanded, so exaggerated, an air of perfection, South Node Virgo, to where there's this assumption that whatsoever and whosoever manifests before me through Venus, it's not good enough for me. I'm too perfect, I'm too great, I'm too good, I'm too noble, I'm too refined. The narcissism. How we destroy our own blessings. South Node Virgo. You all that in a bag of chips to go along with it. But in reality, you're afraid of being discovered as human and not as the exception to man or woman. High standards, high expectations, hovering above humanity, all by your lonesome. You can see that something is destined for you, and it's a spark to your eye, sends a charge of joy, heavenly, fragrance through your senses. The connection that you can have with certain people, circumstances, situations, whether it's a lover or, maybe you're reunited with your children or a loved one, that you've been distanced from for a long time, any other context. And then behind that you see the point of disillusionment, where it's a test of whether or not you trust yourself in intimacy, whether or not you have learned enough to trust yourself with intimacy. And through Pisces, we can go back to the same errors of escapism, where we take off running. We run away from intimacy. We run away from the deeper connection that we know is calling us. And we come up with all kinds of justifications, excuses that we tell ourselves or we tell others on why we cannot go all the way down there, or why we cannot continue going forward. And here it is. We're a fugitive from love, a fugitive from truth, a fugitive from our own destiny, and justified by what we articulated in our own mind as being the reasons, while we know in truth that they are not reasons, they are simply justifications and excuses. If you are to enjoy something, if you are to enjoy sweetness, there is burden of its equal that must go with it. And this really tests something, or rather or not, what you desire is even worth it. Whether or not it's sincere, whether you really mean it, or if it has anything to do with your identity, because surely what is of your identity and that which reflects your identity, you wouldn't leave it. The burden only deeper clarifies the commitment that you have to who you know you are. I accept the burdens that comes with my destiny. I accept the trials, the karma, the challenges, the disappointments, the pains, the inconsistencies, all of it, because all of it comes with the claim of the status, the proper status of the self. If I'm to be authentic, how is anything valuable if there's no sacrifice with it, no burden? It doesn't demand anything of us, of the spirit. Well, these situations helps us to clarify where our intentions are at, what our reasons are. Because surely, if we do recognize or see that there truly is a soul connection, that destiny has manifest in the connection that awaits you, you will gladly embrace the burden that comes with it. Because in the burdens that comes with it, it's the wisdom, the character, the strength, the integrity, the understanding, the values, the status that you attain, that you cultivate in order to keep and preserve your blessing. Without the trials that comes with it, you will never know how to maintain it. You will never understand how to keep it. You will never understand how to improve upon it. It has to grow with you. Who and what is really worth enduring the pains of maintaining what catches your eye, and what sends a Venus sense of fulfillment to your soul. Nothing's worth it. I'm just going to stay right here in my layer of peace. Namaste. I'm going to hide away from my growth. You better think on it. And think well. The days of empty connections, attachments, trauma bonding, connecting with this person or that person, or this situation and that situation because it's a thrill, because it's something to do, because you're bored, because it pays the bills. No, this is not what we're doing anymore. So I ask you, think and think well. Has a reflection of your identity manifest in any particular person or circumstance or persons as of lately that you should take into consideration? That the burden that is inevitable could very well be worth the fruitful promise that comes with that person. Alright, so we got a square this weekend between Pisces Saturn and Sagittarius Venus. Understand that. Sagittarius Venus, as I already explained, she's a burnt out spark plug right now. You know what I mean? And so she doesn't have the power, the vigor, the intensity that she's used to carrying in her expression. And the way that this can translate to you, and that is because of the fact that she's in a combust position with the sun, which is between 8 to 15 degrees prior to conjunction or cazimi with the sun. So what this lets you know is that, she looks like she's tired. She got bags under her eyes. She's stressed out, anxiety, fatigue. She been through this and she been through that. She got mad stories to tell. She lighten up the cigarette as she takes a seat and takes a deep breath. Or she rolling up the blunt, as she's, sighing, out of grief before she starts telling the story. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of situations. Like, you have no idea what I've been through. You have no idea what I've been putting my effort into only to get no results, And then this square, it presents a view of reality ahead that says to the self, here we go again, or I'm not really ready for this. You know what I mean? And a lot of that has to do with the fatigue that's in the attitude and demeanor of Venus, which is your expression or the mode of expression that relates to relationships and also finances. You know what I mean? But because it's a Sagittarius, it has more so to do with embodying your truth through status in relationships. Understand that. Status in relationships. Again, this is not always romantic. All right? The context will be clarified more so with the house that Venus is in for you. Okay? But I need you to listen to this. Listen to this. This square says, okay, remember to characterize fatigue that Venus is carrying as well. Okay, so this is internally how you're feeling. It's like, I like you. I even desire you. I prefer you. I want you. I would love if this could be the ideal thing that we could create, pursue, or expand upon. You feel like you may clarify what my life is to mean, and it could be expanded through you. It could be well understood through you. Understand that. It's to say, I feel a sense of pleasure, happiness, positive things when I think of you, when I remember you, or when I stretch back the bow, which is when I consider the potential between us, that is, okay? Understand that. Potential versus kinetic. Pulling back the bow of Sagittarius, that is potential, okay? So when the planet goes through Sagittarius, it steps into a realization of potential. So it's you seeing the potential in a relationship direction, the potential in a relationship status, the potential in a relationship option, a prospect, you know what I mean, or certain connections toward business ventures or creative projects, as well. This also can include certain family members that you may, want to restore things with or preserve things with. It can also include marital situations where it may be on the last string, or it may be in a good place. But looking ahead, there's realistic obstacles that tempts you to bring in the Debbie Downer in the spirit. Now, it's not all negative, but what this really is a reality check. Just like Mars had to go through in the square, just like the sun had to go through in the square, this is the square between Venus and Saturn. Saturn and Venus does not have a hostile nature, as does Saturn and Mars, Saturn and Sun, okay? Because it's less requirement of the ego to get out of the way. This is not necessarily about the ego. It's about desire. Understand that. It's about desire. It's also about what justifies a sense of pleasure in the life, a sense of enjoyment in the life, a sense of fulfillment in the life, because the glory of Venus is the fifth house. Understand that, okay? And if the glory of Venus is the fifth house, ultimately, it is to have an objective in a fifth house context concerning someone else or some others. This also could be, unique situations concerning your children, okay? All right? So this can manifest in various ways. So you understand what context to put this in as I clarify, what's going on concerning Venus. Understand? So, being that this square manifests and it's not a hostile nature, okay? What it is that you're seeing where your emotions and your cognitive clarity may have contradictions or inconsistencies. You're weighing between the heart and the head, because also keep in mind that just as Sagittarius stellium is square to the north and south node, okay, where the north node is hosting Saturn, we also have Gemini constellation that's also square, okay, to this expression. Therefore, the particular algorithm of your logical thought, of your reasoning, the particular algorithm of your critical thought process, your ability to analyze situations and extract wisdom from it. Okay, the examination that you put intellectually on what you're dealing with, the ethereal review, an assessment of what it is that you're dealing with. So that is also square at the same time. So Sagittarius holds more so of what's in the heart rather than what's in the head. Okay, it holds the intelligence of the body rather than the intelligence of the mind. Okay, understand that. So being that this is the case, you could have been, hit by Cupid. Cupid shot you with an arrow in your ass. You got a little love bug in you. You seeing some hearts and different things like that. You know what I mean? You like this person. That person likes you. Things are making sense. It's a good feeling. It's refreshment. You know what I'm saying? You walking through the desert. Somebody hands you a cold water. It's one of those situations, But what happens now is a checkpoint comes where you examine yourself and you ask yourself, am I being realistic? Am I remaining grounded? Am I consistent and aligned with what I suffered to learn and understand? Because I don't want to recreate the trauma, trouble, confusion, burdens, karma, all of these different things. I don't want to create these things over again for myself. Okay? And so it's a checkpoint where you like the smell of the rose, you like the fragrance of the rose, you examine the silky texture of the rose. You appreciate and celebrate the rose. However, you're reminded as you move your finger down, the stem of the rose, that there's thorns on the rose too. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations. So as you are admiring and smelling the rose, you get pricked by a thorn. And the pricking of the thorn, that is Saturn. Okay, you get a glimpse clairvoyantly, okay, through your clairvoyance, through your intuition, all right, and through your emotional memory, you get a glimpse at the reality. And what is the reality? Love has to be hosted. You have to host it. You have to uphold it. If the relationship is to be something desirable, something fruitful, something productive, something constructive, something meaningful to your life, you realize it's going to require effort, work, staying power, discipline, obedience, humility, compromise, reciprocation, give and take. You're also realizing that as much as there is joy to find, there is also disappointment to find. As much as there is to look forward to, there's much that you may not look forward to experience or passing through that is inevitable. Okay, so you're seeing the duality of the situation. And again, duality remains a constant from here on out. Gemini, has already hosted Jupiter, and Gemini will be hosting again Uranus. Okay, this is not something to underestimate about duality, because we have to learn how to maneuver and navigate through duality in order to rise at what? Wisdom or love. Okay, it's not meant to freeze you in fear, freeze you in polarization, freeze you in seeing war, strife, and negativity. It's meant to rise you to wisdom or love, is the ascendant point of Gemini's duality. Okay, so you're realizing a Gemini duality because Gemini is also included in the square as an algorithm or as a consciousness, that part of you. Okay, so listen. Seeing that duality, that the rose goes with the thorny stem. And we realize we can't necessarily be delusional and just cut the stem, because ultimately you cut the life, and now you've coveted, you've attached, you've taken, you've confiscated, you've possessed. And what does that do? It takes the life. So it's a contradiction. The moment you attach to someone, the moment you possess someone, you kill the life of the relationship that gives you joy. In that instant. Because we have to examine that action for what it really is: insecurity. Okay? Unhealed toxic nature. Control. Understand, okay? It's not love. Love is paired with freedom, always. Understand that. Now, what's happening is you're seeing that anything that is to be enjoyed, anything that's to be pleasurable, anything that's to bring some kind of happiness or satisfaction into your life, it requires maintenance. There's duty. There's responsibility. There's accountability. There's moral commitment. There are all of the things that we learned karmically as Saturn was passing through Pisces. We also understand that in relationship context, how are we with our boundaries? Am I a whole person who is anticipating a healthy connection with another person who I hope is whole also? What does that mean? So the temptation could be, especially for those who are Venus archetypes, okay, which are mostly females, you could be putting on your running shoes right now. You know what I mean? You could dip off and be like, I see what's ahead. So I'm just going to bag on up into the bushes right here. I'm going to sneak off real easy like. I'm going to back up real easy. Maybe nobody will notice I just dipped off like that, but I'm just going to back away real easy. Okay? So it's an easy backing away. All right? Because Pisces energy is involved, it has a soft, undetectable nature to it. It's foggy. Okay? So the fog is you disappearing into the fog based on the premise that you have perceived burden ahead. Burden is ahead. Because your heart, your solar plexus, has found a connection. And because your solar plexus, your heart, it has found a connection for your astral body. And the sunlight is illuminating what part of your identity has comprehended itself through that connection, because the sun is conjunct Juno. The reality scares you in remembering through the square that it's only possible if you're willing to do the maintenance. If you're willing to maintain accountability, duty, to be reciprocal. A relationship does not run itself. It does not manage itself. Everyone involved has to participate. And it's not just the good days. It's not just the happy days. It's not just when things are going right. It's not when you agree. It's not just the times when everything's all roses. Guess what? There's going to be days where you don't like that person. There's going to be days where there's disagreements. You feel offended. You look at the back of the neck and you can slap the back of the neck. You know what I mean? It's one of those. Like and love does not always go together. You're very lucky, you're very fortunate if like and love shows up at the same time. Understand that. Those are lottery days. When you're in a long haul with somebody, it's a lottery day that you like and love the person at the same time. For some people, it's once in a blue moon that you like and love the person at the same time. But while you dislike the person, you can still love the person. While you don't love the person, you can like the person. It can go that way. Sharp point being made is that this is a checkpoint not to discourage, to reject or deny, or for Saturn to tell you or tell your Venus that no, you can't do this. Saturn is not telling you no. Saturn is asking you as his niece, okay? Saturn is asking his niece, Venus, you know what I mean? He's getting down on one knee to her as an elder and asking Venus, Venus, is this what you want? Does it make you happy? Is there something about this that makes you feel more confident in who you are, more fulfilled, more clarified in what your nature or what your identity really is, or what you could live for? Is it meaningful to you? Okay, well, we need to have a talk. And internally, you're having that talk with the elder in yourself, Saturn. You're checking in with your authority to see, do I consent to the burden that I know is ahead, if this is to be? Do I consent to that? I need to step back and meditate on, am I clear about what this is going to take? And am I willing for what it's going to take? Am I willing? What it looks like to not show up for this square is just to take off running. Do a disappearance trick. Bam, just like that. You know what I mean? You dip back into the bushes, ain't nobody heard from you. You know what I mean? You pull one of those off. Not communicating. It doesn't mean no. It doesn't mean stop. It means get a realistic perspective, communicate, so that you can come to clarity and not run into disappointment because of romanticized ideals, delusions, or, as I explained in the video previous to this, number 9 is at the South Node, Virgo, which taught us to guard ourselves against the detriment of Venus, which means we are not to be inappropriate with Venus. And to be inappropriate with Venus is to approach Venus without consideration of Saturn. That is what it means to be inappropriate with Venus. It's okay for you to like, love, and desire anything you want. But it's not okay for us to oppress ourselves or to be unjust to ourselves by not considering accountability, responsibility, duty, commitment, moral obligation that goes with any and everything that we desire. The maintenance that goes with it. The expectations upon us in contract that goes with such connections. Understand? And the fact that the Sun and Juno has been in deep conversation as this all is taking place. The Sun's light, which is the context of your heart, soul, urge, expression, number. If you don't know what I'm saying, ask the question. Don't just sit there licking the window, picking your fucking boogers. Ask questions, nigga. Ask the fucking question. The sunlight is shining, which is expressing the heart, soul, urge expression in the context of commitment, relationship status that has a long-term objective or trajectory. And rather or not, there is suitability for what my natural heart urge expression is. That it will not conflict with or contradict the commitment that I have to myself. That this person or these connections, in whatever context that it may be for you, being sure that before you sign the contract, before that you venture ahead and agree or consent to the obligations, the duties, responsibilities, and contracts that would go with the long-term trajectory, you want to make sure that it's all helping you to get where your soul must go. That it expands, multiplies, nurtures, supports, echoes, or clarifies your own identity mutually. This is to remember that what we can't do and what we won't do is forget our inner child's best interest in all things. And before I make a connection with anybody, is this in the best interest of my inner child? Could the results, consequences, and outcome of a connection with this prospect, could it further claim and confirm that I am who I say I am? Does this person, in reflection, bear witness to the fact that I am who I say I am? There are questions to ask. It doesn't mean no. It means there are things to take into consideration because we suffered to learn certain things, and we must not betray our wisdom. Jupiter is the Lord of Sagittarius, and Jupiter is in Cancer, which he is holding the priorities of the matriarchal foundation of the self. So the connection must make sense to your matriarchal core. That this is not only entertainment, it's not only to satisfy my desires, it's not only lust, it's not another convenient distraction, it's not a convenient place to escape from reality. It's not a place to further distract myself from what I know I need to apply myself to every day. But this decision will further enhance my capacity to continue a productive effort in my soul's journey that expresses why I came here to earth, but making it make sense before creating regrets. I think I'm making myself clear about all of this. And these are the things this weekend that most of us will be having a lot of reflection about. All right? Understand that. And so, you can sit at the rose. It has thorns on it. What does that mean? What does that mean? Also remember, if you really love it, let it live. We don't need control, domination, and possession. Understand that. We need connection, not attachment. Aquarius Pluto is the context. You will not partake in relationships on basis of attachment and control. You will not do that. You will not. Not without karmic consequences. Because it is very clear the context we are in. Aquarius Pluto. Thank you very much. You don't own anybody. You don't control anybody. You don't rule anybody. Your happiness is your responsibility. Your peace is your responsibility. Your emotional security is your responsibility. These things are your responsibility. The other person is exponential. Accelerators. Expanders. Support to further your journey. Complementary. Reflective. The connection, however, requires maintenance. And we have to remain in a disillusioned circumstance with ourselves in knowing that grace is required. As much as you like a person, as much as you like a situation, as much as you enjoy face value of these possibilities that we're considering, of Venus nature, of Venus themes, persons and things and circumstances, know that if it is to be maintained, if it is to be honored, if it is to be preserved, it equally has burden, necessary burden, that goes with it. Do we understand that? If not, we are lacking in our maturity. We're lacking in our maturity. It doesn't take a lot. It takes consistency. It's the little things. It's the little things. In this timeline, nobody is responsible for somebody else. Our expectations need to be very realistic. Honoring the freedom of every person, the identity of every person, autonomy of every person, and whether or not we accept them as they are, because we don't get to change a person. That's what we don't get to do. We have boundaries, and we can clarify in contract what we wish to honor or not, what we wish to be a part of or not. Yes. But we don't get to change a person. Life is different now. We're not in the days of old where romance leads and guides us. It does not. And if you try to do it, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get heartache, pain, and disappointment and humiliation. That's what you're going to get. Because you are supposed to learn. Romance does not explain love. Romance is not the child of love. There are many of you who have a very hard time wrapping your head around that because you love the lies, you love the exaggerations, you love the artfulness of it, and what it sets you up for, you don't like it. Because what it sets you up for in false expectations, delusions, illusions, it is painful to recover from that level of insistence with your own heart and self-betrayal with your own heart, and refusing to remain grounded in reality with who you are connected with, especially in intimate connections of the 8th house. Getting too far in your head with romantic ideals in dream state. You don't need the dream state. You need spiritual clarity, because that in itself has enough happiness, fulfillment, peace, joy, security, meaning, enlightenment, love, compassion, affection. The spiritual value of yourself has enough of that, and the meaning in your life that you are to express with it. That is sufficient. but how we were trained generation after generation on what happens when boy meets girl. There's so much work to do to catch up with what's supposed to happen when boys meet girls. What's supposed to take place. Romance is not the basis. Service. Service. How do you mobilize yourselves? Organize yourselves, align yourselves to serve. How so? Your relationship is supposed to be a service and sacrifice to your community. That's all the romance you need. Because in fulfilling it, you create and generate love. Because what it takes for you to do so together, it generates love, empowerment, wisdom, unification. What can we do together to change our world, to improve our community, help our families, leave the world better than what we made it? Because when you make it about her or she makes it about him, violence, I'm not just referencing physical violence. What I'm saying is madness is around the corner. Because no one is meant to put all the focus on each other. But that has to be a mutual understanding. I admire you. I look up to you. I'm impressed by who you are. I celebrate who you are. I even love you. So much that I would love to enjoy creating with you. I imagine that there's something that we could create or something that we're supposed to create. There's some service that I think we should do that would make both of us happy, fulfilled, meaningful. And you should find out what that is, because that's what your relationship is supposed to be about. Because when you make it about the other person, all you're going to do is get on the fucking nerves. That's all you're going to do. You're going to oppress the person. You're going to burden the person. You're going to run the person off. That's all you're going to fucking do. But that needs to be a mutual understanding. Because one who shows up with this understanding while the other doesn't, they're just twiddling their thumbs, don't know what the fuck. All kind of things going through their head or whatever, but you know, you can't read a mind. Just stand there with a finger up your ass. And this is why the question will always remain productive. Do we have a fertile mind? Are we receptive? Do we have a fertile mind? Are we receptive? If so, that is a sign of rich soil. Rich soil. All you need then is a farmer or a gardener. You have rich soil. You have a farmer, you have a gardener, or a gardener. Anything is possible now. Because fertility and creativity has come together. The masculine and feminine principle. Man is a farmer. Man is a gardener. In spirit, woman is earth. And life comes from her. Multiplicity comes from her. Exponential opportunity comes from her. Expansiveness comes from her. She is a principle to invest in, which means a principle that requires deep patience, a principle that requires the intent of cultivation. A principle that requires planting of seeds, seeds of thought, information, understanding, wisdom, knowledge, instruction, guidance. One seed can return many seeds. That's her gift. The farmer and the gardener has a limited capacity to till the soil, plant the seeds, but what she has the power to do, it is beyond his capacity. She promises harvest. So if there's a vision, you need a woman. If there's going to be a promise of harvest, this takes place in corporate settings, families, relationships, community affairs projects, okay? Everything's not romantic again, okay? So expand your mind as I'm explaining this. Understand? But these are things that we ought to consider. Visions are to collaborate and come together. Visionaries. That's what we're becoming. Innovators and visionaries. And that right there is the context of your relationship. That's a cheat code. Visionaries. What are we here to do? Aquarius context clarifies that it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about what we came together to produce, create, innovate, change, serve, do, give. Because what we came together to do is more important than ourselves. There's something about the anticipation of this particular relationship that has us to realize that the burdens that are ahead in this relationship ideal, they are simply exercises in which every day I get to renew my claim. And what do I mean by renew my claim? Am I being, or am I, who I say I am? Well, if you pour a cup of water for your beloved, if you break bread to share with your beloved, where are your intentions? Know that if you pour water for your beloved, If you split bread for your beloved, if you advocate for, support, comfort, show up for your beloved, essentially, what are you doing? You are expressing the sun through Venus. Every planet is a disciple of the sun. S-U-N of Allah. Aha. These disciples express the truth of the light of sun through their territories and dominions. So through relationships, it's your opportunity to express and demonstrate who you say you are. I am compassionate. I am thoughtful. I am truthful. I am trustworthy. I am understanding. I have humility. I am loving. I am merciful. I am protective. I am a defender. I am a guide. I am a teacher. I am a father. I am a husband. So on and so forth. How do you confirm these things? How do you become the witness of your claim? In the smallest experiences, even such as pouring water for someone. Because the claim has to be renewed every day that you are who you say you are. Man was told to love woman. Woman was told to respect man. How do we help each other to fulfill what we were taught to do? If I'm to be respected, am I respectable? And I have to renew my respectability every day. I can't rely on the respectability that I had yesterday. I have to reproduce that respectability today again. Not for her, but as a witnessing and as a claim of truthfulness of my own status for my own soul. And she is a beneficiary of that trust. Do you see how that works? And so likewise, she must renew every day. Am I lovable? So I am helping him to fulfill what is expected of him from the Most High, that he should love me. Am I lovable? I was lovable yesterday, but am I lovable today? The reciprocation principle. That is the Saturn aspect that comes with Venus. That what we expect, we must participate in the manifestation of that outcome. Aha.